The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us on this first of the month. Jack, it's your favorite month. It's December. How are you feeling?
I almost came out in my Christmas dress. I was like, so do I dress up as an elf? Like, what do I do? But I kept it simple.
You kept it simple. So actually, I saw yesterday on the Christmas Lighthouse of the show, aka Elizabeth Vara. I saw that. Is it Nippy or the elf is back? You know, the elf on the shelf. He is back.
Yes.
So
I've seen everybody's little elf on the shelf, and it's so cute. It makes me happy. I'm waiting for my sister to show me how she's doing with my nephew, but it's fun, like watching the little kids get all excited.
They absolutely are super cute. And I feel like the elf definitely keeps them in line because, you know, counting down to Christmas Day, everyone wants what they asked for on their Christmas list. So as you can see, Jacky and I are definitely ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning. Now, for today's show, we do have a guest. We have Kyla Evans, the Senior VP of XS Casualty at Marsh. She's backstage, and she's going to be joining us to discuss her career and how she navigated it as a millennial. And if you want to laugh to get your morning started, make sure you stick around for our feel good vibe of the day, which is joke time with Jacky. However, before we get into all of that, we want to do some Caribbean girl magic because that's what we're celebrating today. Not only is Kyla backstage with us, but in case you missed it, yesterday, Barbados removed the Queen of England as their head of state. So that means the nation is a fully sovereign republic nation on their own. They are like truly independent. And they named Rihanna a national hero. So Jacky and I wanted to know, when Bermuda becomes independent, who are some Bermudians we should honor as our national heroes? So let us know in the comments who you think we should celebrate. Jacky, you and I didn't really discuss your answer beforehand, but we did kind of talk about it offline. So I just want to know, Jack, who is someone that you would want to celebrate?
Well, obviously we have Flora Duffy and Shiana Terri.
Yeah.
Yes. I love what they're doing for the island. Like they're out there, they're pursuing their careers and they're killing their goals. But at the same time, they're still remaining attached to the island and pushing for us to have more people coming through, right? So I just think that getting us on the map in a positive way continuously is something that should be honored.
Absolutely. And I actually agree with you on that. So like even when I used to live away, I kind of did this thing where I didn't necessarily, I would say this, I would do this weird thing where I would basically not pay attention to what was going on in Bermuda, which was not necessarily a good thing, primarily because I was like disconnected. So to Jacky's point around just being able to still stay connected and still be present in the moment was definitely something that I celebrate and appreciate about folks like Shiona. And so I agree with you, Jack, on the whole Shiona thing, because she's even trying to get us Instagram music. Like,
which we've been trying to get for like, I think it's been out for 2 years now.
Yes.
2 years. So I know that I get upset because my friends will send me stuff and they're in different countries and they'll send me stuff and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening because there's no music in my, like the sound doesn't work in my country. So they have to screen record it to send it to me. And now it's not funny or exciting anymore because we had to go through this whole process. It's anticlimactic. So it's just like, finally we'll actually be in the arena to enjoy the stuff.
And I mean, so, I've had numerous conversations on social media about it. The reason why the Caribbean specifically, and probably other regions that don't have access to Instagram music, it's due to our music laws, music licensing laws. It's not really because Instagram doesn't want to give us the access. It's because of the music laws. However, it's like, well, TikTok gives us access to music, but TikTok was built in China. So that's apples and oranges situation, but I totally,
because even YouTube is different here, right?
Exactly.
So
it's one of those things where it's like, I understand it. I'm still not a fan of it, but it is what it is. I can say,
like, let us be great because we have the talent to be able to kick in. We want to join. Like,
we deserve to still be able to enjoy what's happening on social media. Like, I don't understand why why we can't get the goods. I mean, I understand why. I'm not a fan of why. Let's put it that way. The audience, let us know who you think we should honor as a national hero. I want to say there are some young folks that are doing some really amazing things right now that I could see when it happens, because it's likely not going to happen in my current lifetime, like where I'm like bubbly and thriving, living my best life. It's definitely going to happen when I'm like getting up in age. I would want to see, like, the members of like Bermuda is Love. I would want to see, like, Ryan Robinson, Parent Chief, and a few other folks that have actually been talking a lot about not only the space of the topic of independence, but just doing really great things for our community. I would love to see them featured as well. Like, I really think that the Future Leaders Bermuda and Bermuda is Love, I feel like that crop of young people should absolutely find themselves in the runnings to be a national hero for sure.
But absolutely. I'm excited for our future. I just think that we need to all, as Jamal likes to say, Hartman say, hold our people accountable so that when that transition happens, it's smooth versus rough and a rush and everybody's like, and it's chaotic. Barbados did a very nice job at transitioning. They did a slow process. So I think sometimes we follow suit, and I think this is one where it can possibly be a very positive outcome. But
absolutely,
like I said, we have to do it the right way.
Good day, Anika. We actually want to just remind you, if you can see at the bottom of the screen, we have our Feel Good warm-up question. We're celebrating Caribbean Black Girl Magic. We do have Kyla Evans, the Senior VP of Access Casualty at Marsh, backstage. We're going to be talking about her story, and we have shared, the fact that, in case you missed it, you were living under a rock. Yesterday, Barbados finally did the finals, I guess the seal, to kind of wrap up their being independent. Because like you mentioned, Jack, like they didn't just become independent yesterday. Like they've been doing this it's a process. It wasn't just like it's an overnight success story. It just happens and you just magically become this sovereign nation. I mean, you could probably, but that might find you in some hot water financially.
I don't know. It's kind of like moving out of your mom and your dad's house, like your parents' house. Right. You want to do it slowly. You want to go through the correct processes of getting out. So you start off by making sure you're saving, everything in your finances is perfect. You have the job, you have the finances, you have living space, you're making sure that it's within your budget, and then you slowly remove yourself. And I think that is something that we should look into doing. Not just saying, you know what, I've had enough and I'm leaving, because eventually you're going to be like, okay, well, can I come back home? I did this prematurely. I need your help. And if they're not really your parents per se, so they can't be like, oh yes, coming home. They're going to be like, nah, you chose this.
You chose it, so go be great. Go do that adulting thing on your end. We're going to wrap up this part of the conversation. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to bring in our guest of the day, Kyla Evans. She is backstage, and she is ready to go. So we're going to take this first commercial break, and then Jackie and I will be right back with Kyla.
Looking for that fine dining experience? Then Aliana's is the place for you. And it's lobster season in Burmese. So ladies, get your girls together for a ladies' night out. Book a table of 4 and each of you will get a 10% discount on your half or whole lobster main course. Starters not included. This lobster special is on until Saturday, December 18th. Serving dinner from 6 p.m. Thursday through Sundays. And of course, we have all your favorites, complemented with our specialty drinks and wine list. Followed by our scrum scrumptious homemade desserts. Aliana's Fine Dining Restaurant, 106 Southside St. David's. Phone 777-0555 for reservations. For their special occasions, there's Aliana's.
Welcome back to this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, we started today's episode off by letting you know that today we're celebrating Caribbean Girl Magic, Caribbean Black Girl Magic, that is. And for our feel-good topic of the day, we have a guest, Kyla Evans. She is the Senior VP of Access Casualty at Marsh, and she's going to be discussing her career and how she has navigated it as a millennial. And we're super excited to bring her in because y'all don't know the struggle. Well, it's not even a struggle, the challenge we've been through from a technology perspective. And it's just like, I mean, it's the first of the month. Like, come on. So in order to welcome Kyla, go ahead and drop the sun emoji, any good morning related emoji that you can into the comments as we bring Kyla in. Good morning, Kyla.
Good morning. I made it.
You did. The sound is perfect. Lighting is on point. So good morning. We're going to jump right in because we know that you probably didn't get a chance to hear some of the conversation we had earlier. So we talked about, you know, the fact that Rihanna is celebrated as a national hero in Barbados. So we wanted to get your thoughts on that whole experience, that event. Like, what are you thinking about what's happening over in Barbados?
I think it's fantastic, right? Actually, all of us on this call can relate to her as island girls, right? Coming from the island and then making it as big as she did in the world. And one thing she does, rep Barbados proud through and through, no matter where she is in the world. So I think it's fantastic. And I think it's actually well-deserved, to be honest.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm sorry, I'm just so excited because I grew. Do you know I grew up with Kyla?
I did it.
Oh. I thought you were going to say you grew up with Rihanna. I was like, where did I miss that?
That would be awesome. Then we would have grown up with her together. Oh my gosh. So, sorry. Is that me?
No, it might be
Okay.
Kyla. Let me see.
Okay, I could turn myself down.
Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. It's perfect now. It's better now.
Okay.
So you have been the VP of Axel Casualty. What does that mean? Like, how did you actually get into this position? What was the trail like to actually make it there?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a quick correction, it's Access Casualty. So
Sorry.
working at Bar and Marsh Bermuda. Yeah, no problem. My journey here has been amazing, challenging, eye-opening experience. I've been able to meet so many amazing people on this journey as well. But I basically started in 2016 as an insurance assistant. So that's basically an entry-level role. I supported a few senior brokers at the time just with the broking process. So essentially what we're doing is placing coverage for some of the most biggest companies in the world, Fortune 500, 100 companies. And really just through curiosity, questions, times, efforts put into it, it encouraged me and pushed me to move further in my career. Definitely faster than expected, but I do feel in place. I do always like a challenge, and I think that's exactly why so much has come to me as well.
That's so interesting. So, Kyla, like, has that always been the direction for you? Like, did you always see yourself as a young girl in like this senior VP role, or did it just kind of like happenstance upon you?
Yeah, it's been crazy, and that's such a great question. I actually did not go to university for insurance. I believe it or not, I went for law. And came out with a master's degree in human resource management. So it was definitely not on my, timeline or trajectory for me. I think really when I started off at Colonial Insurance, so our local insurance company here, working in the HR department, I just remember feeling like I didn't have much to add in the interviews because some of the candidates were asking about insurance because ultimately we were an insurance company. And that's what really sparked my journey. I started digging in deeper to learn more about insurance. I enrolled in a few local courses through the Bermuda Insurance Institute, and I found out the various roles available in the industry. So just a quick snippet, a lot of the buzzwords are always underwriter, actuary, claims analyst and things of that nature, but there's so much more. And that's where the role of the broker came into play. And I just felt like I had so much of the natural and sort of organic skill sets that lended value to the broker role. So very people person, huge on collaboration, outgoing, extroverted person, and things of that nature. And that's where I jumped in, and I haven't looked back since. It's been amazing.
Now, there are a lot of people that are obviously out of work at the moment due to the economy, the way the world is operating at the moment. Is this an industry where somebody could easily transition into it, or would they have to go and take extra schooling courses, or like what's the process?
So we always definitely encourage everyone to look at different courses that would obviously always add value to their learning curve. But rather the question is, do you need insurance background? Absolutely not. I think when we think about the concept of insurance, right, it deals with everything in our daily lives, from the cars that we drive, the homes that we live in, the businesses that we work for, our health. So people with diverse backgrounds are actually welcome to come in. I recently met someone who worked at the Bermuda hospital, and he was also struggling with the idea of, can I join the industry? And I was like, I have an account that's specific to healthcare, and you would do so well with that, just adding that insight, because he's been on the ground in that industry and field. So he would bring sort of that piece of the puzzle to our discussions and to helping us place this client's risk, right? So I think smooth transition. I mean, there's going to be some hurdles to get through in terms of understanding the concepts and lingos and just wrapping your head around it. Because one thing about insurance, it is that intangible career, right? We're not technically building anything like a building. It's all invisible, but essentially it is covered. Like it's hard to explain. So think about my face when I show up to a career fair and I have nothing but a poster board trying to explain what we do. So it is difficult, but yeah, I think once you get through those initial hurdles, I always tell people, give yourself at least 2 to 3 years in a starting position, and then the dots will just all connect, right? Once you've been through the ins and outs and get through some of those really hairy accounts and colleagues like who can help you with some background, I think you'll be fine.
You mentioned the challenges that people tend to go over. You call them hurdles. And you also mentioned you have a background in human resources. So I wanted to ask, like, what are some interpersonal skills that someone can bring if they're not necessarily someone who has experience in the quote unquote insurance industry, but like you mentioned, they have maybe some healthcare background, or they're in IT, or maybe they're creative and they do want to get into this space? Like, how can they use some of their other skills, their transferable skills, to kind of allow them to shine and possibly show you all that they would be a great candidate?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. So the importance is always around competence. Like if someone's competent enough to, join the industry or apply for a role. But I'm very big on being also a compelling and curious individual. So be interesting, right? Be sociable. Show your side that you can build relationships and you know how to navigate through sometimes difficult conversations. The insurance industry is built on relationships, and a lot of what I do is interactive underwriters on a daily basis. And it's a matter of me picking up the phone and Jackie's my underwriter. And I'm like, Jackie, look, I've got this new account. I'm going to send you the submission on this. I'll give you a summary. We'll talk about it in a second. Let's go meet up for a coffee. And it's those type of conversations where we break those down together. Now, if you're not this compelling and sort of curious person and you're just very bright, because I think we've also come across those people with lots of letters after their names, but you get in front of them and it's like talking to a wall, right? So just being interesting, curious, always willing to learn, collaborate, learning, wanting to grow, and just looking to expand your network and grow yourself, really. Hopefully that made sense.
Nope, it makes a lot of sense because obviously I work in an industry where you have to have a certain personality to get people to move their feet. So it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. But I was wondering, going back to my question about people being out of work, is there a certain age where you look at people and they're just like, we might not have a position for you, or are all ages welcome? After, because some people, they like to retire at like 65. So if you have somebody that comes in that's say 57 and they're just like, hey, so I want a career change, would you be still willing to take them on based on maybe their life experiences?
I think it's always a discussion can be had, right? Whether or not we decide to take them on would just be basically based on the role available at that time, and it has to be a right fit, right? And I think age is off the table, so not looking to discriminate anyone based on their age, but more of here's what we have open. You've applied. We would love to have a conversation with you based on our discussions with you and sort of your experience and what we need in the requirement of the role. It's either going to be a yes or fit or no. So I still encourage everyone to put yourself out there, apply, raise your hand, connect with people, because sometimes it may not be a role that's, in the newspaper or available at the time. But because I met with you, there could very well be, opening at our front desk where, perhaps a 57-year-old might find, very lucrative. Right. So, but just by doing that initial connection, I know, yes, she's looking for a role. I think this would be perfect for her. Right.
Yeah. I love that. Now, on the flip side, we have, obviously, there are some companies that will start working in the schools at a young age, as middle school or even high school. What are your ages for internships, if you actually do internships with the youth of Bermuda?
Yeah, so we actually did like a pilot program maybe like 3 years ago. We were working with students from Berkeley as well as BHS and I think Cedar Bridge. I can't remember the local company who had arranged that with us, but they came in and that age started at 16. They came, they spent, I believe it was around 3 weeks with us, sitting next to me, attending meetings with me, and they had to do sort of a presentation at the end on it as well. So we certainly do have that. Obviously, COVID sort of put like a bee in our bonnet on that, right? So we haven't been able to do that too much. But this summer, we actually also ran a internship through the Marsh and McLennan companies. So for 1 week, they met with all of our departments here at Barring Marsh, and then to our reinsurance arm at Guy Carp. And I think they might have had some interaction with our captive management people as well. And it was fantastic. We advertised it on LinkedIn. Basically, if you are a student who's studying, looking to get into the insurance industry, it was free. You just had to apply. We provided lunch. It was a no-brainer. I actually wish that the interest, we had more interest, to be honest. I was a bit disappointed at the uptake, but certainly those opportunities are always available, not just with Marsh, but with others carriers in the market as well.
I didn't see it. Well, probably didn't see because I'm not a student. However, can you just speak, I guess, more to the idea of using LinkedIn as a way to like connect with professionals in Bermuda? Because I lived and worked overseas for 7 years, and like people were on LinkedIn for just about any opportunity. It could have been internship all the way up to CEO or C-suite level. But here, when I came home, I recognized that a lot of Bermudian students and professionals weren't really using it as much as I think they should to start building those relationships, even before you actually get a chance to meet someone.
100%. I am actually so glad that you raised that, Terri, because I feel like LinkedIn is the most underrated sort of platform ever. So I actually do not have social media other than LinkedIn, and I live on it. My parents and my partner will tell you that. I'm reading articles, I'm connecting with people. I'm currently doing a management course, and a bunch of us in our cohort, we just connected as well to keep that. I just feel like with LinkedIn, it's such a more casual and informal way of connecting with people. And it's okay to connect with them in that formal way because that CEO or manager recognizes that it's its platform. So I would oftentimes, like early out in my career, say, "Hi, my name's Kyla Evans. I came across your profile. Just wondering if I could take you for a coffee." And people respond immediately because it's like an app, right? So they're like, "Hey, yes, what time works best for you?" And there we go. And I started building my network through that. Also, even just taking advantage of the tools to share my opinions on a certain topic. What does the insurance industry look like in the next 5 years, 10 years, right? And getting people to read and be intrigued on that. I had the opportunity this summer to be a guest speaker at an event. And I had said to the students, I gave some of my top tips on what I would do, if I were their age. And I did do this at their age. And I had said to them, it is so easy today to create a Snapchat account or YouTube or Instagram account. And I could not understand why people hadn't had LinkedIn yet. And so I challenged them. I said, I challenge each of you today to go home, set up that LinkedIn, do what you like, pour everything into it. If you need my help, I'll help you with that. And once you get it set up, add me as a connection and invite me for coffee, right? And I only had one person reach out of a room of 15. And this is where it takes me to the amount of opportunities that are just out there, but without putting the effort behind it, it's just almost wasted chances to be lucky. That's how I think about it, right? Like I could have literally taken on 20 kids for coffee and only one reached out. And it's just that sort of simple thing where it's just like opportunities are around you everywhere. So LinkedIn sort of that virtual networking, but in person, Bermuda is the perfect place to network. You can literally go to a happy hour and run into a CEO or managing director of any one of these companies and have a drink with them. So I push people like you need to get out there. It's not going to come to you. You have to go after it.
Absolutely. And even just in your story, like of the 15 people, that one person that responded, even if they didn't end up becoming like, employed at Marsh or the company that you're working at the time, that connection, like that person probably always sticks out in your mind. Like even if you see another job opportunity that, aligns with that person. And I think, as you mentioned, it is like, it's like leaving money on the table at the end of the day, because you never know who will remember you just off that one connection that you made on LinkedIn. Because it's so underused here. And I actually wanted to come back because you mentioned that you were kind of on a fast track in your career. Yes. Like you kind of, it moves really fast for you. It did. Millennials were generally very connected. We're generally always on social media, always doing some type of technology related something. What would be some of your recommendations for someone who kind of is also going through like a similar fast track in their career, and they're trying to like manage their internal expectations as well as maybe the expectations they think or perceive to be on them from their career?
So is the question, sorry, Terry, is the question around what I would suggest them to do?
Like just managing their own expectations and just making sure that they don't become too overwhelmed with all that's, required of them. Because like, when you start out in your career early, you're generally like, okay, I'm gonna be doing a level for X amount of years.
Yes.
And then if in those X amount of years, I just became VP, I'm like, wait a minute, this wasn't what I intended. So how do they manage, some tips on how to manage that?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest things, because that did happen a few times where I was like, ooh, this is coming faster than I expected, but nothing that I ever felt like I could not handle, if that made sense. But one thing I did do was continue to keep my relationships that I originally established with some senior people in the industry, as well as internally at Marsh, just to help them reassure me that I'm on the right track, or, hey, like, here's how I'm thinking about this. Like, what do you think? Like, should I tweak this? Should I do that? But one thing I will say too is own it. If your organization is going to or sees the value in you to promote you, and you are on this fast track, you need to own it and you need to wear it. And you need to put so much emphasis and focus and effort into making sure that you are living and breathing that life. So for me, I actually started this simplification journey, or simplistic life, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I literally just silenced all the noise around me. And that included social media. I literally, my weekends are filled with just relaxation, not really a lot of TV time, but lots of reading, lots of TED Talks, just to try to, our terms would be level up to the next level, right? It's like, what can I do differently to put myself in that position so that, yes, I'm 30 years old and I'm SVP, but I know what I'm talking about. I can handle my conversations. I'm ahead of the game, right? So making sure, you earn it, you're confident in that, but also investing back into yourself so that you do feel that, you're confident in that space.
I love that answer. And honestly, I would just, fangirl moment. I follow you on LinkedIn. I don't even remember where I met Kyla from. I feel like we did like an internship.
Star Bermuda.
Right. I was like, I know Kyla.
It clicked to me.
So I had you on LinkedIn from time, and I remember when I saw your title change from VP. At the time, it was something else before VP, and then it changed. And I like wrote your name, and I was like, I want Kyla on the show, because to have a millennial at that position that looks like us is definitely inspiring for people to kind of just like, like you said, earn that journey. And even if you are maybe the only person in the room, you're breaking barriers for people that look like you to be a part of your circle and grow your network. So I just wanted to kind of like have that fangirl mix. I was like, where do I know Kyla from?
Terri. And it's pretty crazy when you do that update on LinkedIn. It's like, boom, right? Like, here we go. And I can't believe this is happening. And you look back, but I cannot share just the very, very long nights, the many weekends, the missed parties, the missed drinks, missed moments. And it does get me teary-eyed and emotional when I think about it. But here's where I am today, and it's all been worth it. And one thing I will share as a takeaway with everyone is, once you make it, you don't take your foot off the gas either, right? You keep going. Like, I'm SVP, but it doesn't stop here for me, right? Like, I have a pretty clear direction on where I want to go next. Not too fast, but I'm setting myself up today for tomorrow. And I have to let the younger generations know that as well, is that because sometimes, they get into these entry level positions. Yes, you're confident. Yes, you have the master's degree. You have the personality, but it doesn't mean you stop. Yes, we know you got a 4.0, but it doesn't mean you stop. You keep going. You keep working. You have to keep differentiating yourself and keep pushing the boundaries. Like, that's the only way you're going to get ahead. And I find people who are in the same role after graduation for 5 to 6 years. And I always say, look at yourself, right? One thing that I did early out was when I was an insurance assistant, I had reached out to my HR team and I said, what is the next step after this? And she said, associate broker. And I said, could you share that job description with me? And she did. And I had some honest conversations with myself about areas that I fell short in, and areas I wanted to improve more on, and areas I felt like I executed, right? And that was my goal. Okay, so I'm not really too much of a public speaker. I need that for the role. What am I going to do? And I signed myself up, and I was a guest speaker at the BII's insurance conference, and it was a stretch goal, but I did it. And once I got in front of clients, a room of 15 people, I felt confident. I could speak up. I can make the eye contact. I did all of that, right? So this is what I push people to do. You don't get in the door and say, hey, I've made it. Now give me everything I deserve. It's keep pushing. You don't give up. You can't, right? So this is what I do every day. I keep pushing. Right now I'm doing a management course. It's stretching me thin, but it's helping me for sure.
I don't know if it's the lack of sleep or just because I've known you for so long, but I am so proud of you. I actually am sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, I remember actually being through the neighborhood, riding my paddle bike, going across the house and seeing you and being like, and interacting with you on a child level and being like, hey, she's gonna be somebody, she's gonna go somewhere. And as a child, that sounds crazy, right? But I just didn't remember, because it was your personality. You always had this big bright light, and to sit here and listen to you and realize that light is still inside you and it's just growing bigger. This is like such a, like, I have goosebumps. This is crazy.
Well, but I also want to give kudos to both of you, because Terri, I do remember you from Style Bermuda, our humble days, and Jacky, we did grow up together. But I'm so thankful for this platform and you guys walking in your path and doing this. I know a lot of time and energy is invested and all the logistics to get people like me set up in the background and organized. So I think it's well overdue in Bermuda. I'm so glad that you both are spearheading it. Perfect personalities and girl power, man. This is what I'm about. So
now, for those that want to continue this conversation, because honestly, I feel like we only just started this conversation and there's so much more to, I know, just like the tip. How can we get in contact with you to keep this conversation going? Not for me, but for the audience as well.
LinkedIn. Honestly, please do. I live on LinkedIn. I see your message. I'll send you a date that works for me. If it works for you, let's go have a chat. And it doesn't even necessarily always have to be crafted around how you get into the industry. It could literally be like, hey, Kyla, here's where I'm at in my role at my company. What can I be doing differently, like to get to the next level? Maybe it's me helping you with having those discussions, right, with your management. Maybe it is me pushing you to say, go ask for that job description for the next step and go from there and compare yourself to that and what you need to do. Maybe it's me connecting you with some people in the industry who I think could give you better sound advising, right? But yes, please do. LinkedIn, I am there. My email address is on there as well. Please do connect with me. I don't have any other form of contact.
We love it. And that's literally how I found Kyla's email address was on LinkedIn. It's right there. So she is telling you the truth, y'all. She's not putting on face for the show. She absolutely has her contact details on there. So make sure you reach out to her. Kyla, once again, thank you so much for joining Jacky and I this morning. We enjoyed this conversation.
Ladies.
We totally did.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to get your thoughts on our conversation with Kyla Evans, the Senior VP of Access Casualty over there at Bowring Marsh. So make sure you do not go anywhere after this commercial break, because we also have our Feel Good Vibe of the day, which is Joke Time with Jacky, and you do not want to miss that.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert, and we just wrapped up our conversation with Kyla Evans. If you're just joining us, you missed that conversation, don't worry, you can catch the replay. Jacky, I want to get your thoughts on our conversation with Kyla, because I mean, you kind of did share some of it previously because you grew up with Kyla, but like just thinking about the whole idea of Caribbean girl, island girl, magic, like what are your thoughts?
She is making, like, she is doing us proud. She's doing a great job. And to know that she's not trying to just stop there. She's also opening up herself to be available for everybody else to grow as well. That is huge. A lot of people, you see them get to the top and they're just like, they don't have time for everybody else to come to the top with them. And to know that she's trying to bring everybody along with her, that is a great thing to watch. It's beautiful. So I am absolutely all the way here for it. I'm proud of her.
Same, and it's so like, I really couldn't remember where I met Kyla. Like, I could not for the life of me. I know Kyla, but where do I know her from? And she reminded me of stuff. I'm like, hey, yes, girl, that was like eons ago at this point. But just like even her advice around just like, you know, how she has disconnected herself from social media, which is probably not going to happen for me because I do social media management.
You can't.
However, just like her ideas of the content that she's feeding herself, like the TED Talk, she mentioned she's doing like a management course and just like continuing to level up, as she said. And I think that's so powerful to see someone that looks like you doing something that you thought was like unattainable. It wouldn't happen as fast as it has happened for her. I think it's like honestly, I want to come back to some comments that the audience had shared previously. So Jamal Hartman says, Kyla, I absolutely love this conversation. Your peers may say that your weekend routine is boring and you're missing out on life. Oh, what would she say to that? That was a question for her, my bad. I'm just seeing that.
No, but she answered it, right?
She kind of did answer where she's like, you know,
it's worth it.
the end reward is kind of what that's, I guess, the name of the game for her. And I absolutely love that. Like, honestly, okay, I feel like we should have her back to like
absolutely
even deeper. I kind of wanted to know like some of her like mental health and how she cares for herself outside of just like, you know, the relaxing weekend. Like, what does that relaxing weekend look like, sis? I need to get on that. Okay, we have an inquiry before we get into our joke time with Jacky. And so Too Cool Tennis actually is scheduled for January 2022 to get started. Like
it's in the books. I forgot that we didn't talk about it, so I'm just like, didn't we announce it? Nope, that was just a private chat.
So it is actually in the works, so you can absolutely look forward to seeing that, Michael, for sure. Jacky, I'm ready to get a laugh to get my morning started because I'm already on a high, thanks to Kyla, but I'm ready to like take it up a notch. So send me a joke.
Cool. Okay. Before I do so, I have to wish a huge happy birthday to my cousin, Claudel. She's now a Butterfield. So I'm not going to sing to her. I'll leave that. My voice isn't really working today. But anyway,
fine.
Over to joke time. What do you call a line of men waiting for haircuts?
A BuzzFeed.
A barbecue. I mean, they'll probably end up barbecuing out there. You know how we are. You're like a little barbecue. Who were the greenest presidents in U.S. history?
The dollar bills.
The Bushes. I wanted to share this with you yesterday so badly, but I'm like, I'm gonna share it for today.
He pushed it. Sorry.
You gotta
Next
stop
one.
laughing so I can stop laughing so I can talk.
Okay,
What do you call a beehive with no exit? I'm sorry.
A beehive with no exit? A bee? I don't know. Beyonce.
Unbelievable! Because you ain't leaving again. Oh my god, it's so corny.
Bruh. Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
that's so corny.
Yep. Listen, we hope that today's Feel Good vibe of the day and our Feel Good conversation with Kyla Evans has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, which is supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we trust we'll see you tomorrow for more Feel Good conversations. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.